Well, I'm so excited you're joining us today, and I hope this session is not only insightful, but it will be valuable and applicable, that you'd be able to actually put some things into action to choose your pathway to independence. And before we get started, I just want to, set the space for no shoulda, coulda, wouldas, no judgment. We are all where we are, and we all get a choice to create where we want to go. So, with that said, let's start off with why did you start your business? Oddly enough, this is actually where the pathway starts. When we choose a path to find our independence, usually coming back to why we started is an important component of it. And as you think about it, it could have been you really wanted to make an impact. Maybe what you were doing before didn't really fill your passion, or the people you wanted to reach the way you were doing it before in a 9 to 5 you weren't able to do it. You didn't have the options. Or maybe you wanted the flexibility. You wanted to spend more time with family, take a vacation more than just 1 week a year, or even maybe make more money. Maybe you are limited by the role you are in, and the list goes on. But I want you to actually write this down, because for our session today, if you write this down, this will be used later when we can apply this, choosing our own path. So write down, why did you start your business? And it could just be bullet points, but just so you can reference it back. Now, the next thing is, what does independence mean to you? I'm going to be sharing a lot of different ways that you could build a pathway to independence, and a pathway that actually could lead you to an exit, or where you could step away powerfully into your next adventure without even having to sell your business. But in the meantime, the independence that you desire is going to be super important, because you don't want to waste your time on things that are not important to you. You've already got probably plenty on your plate. So adding more is not going to benefit you. But where we can delegate, automate, and move things through that will bring you that independence, that's the key. That's what we want. And if you go back to why you started your business, spending more time with families, if that is not happening in your business, and that's the independence you had wanted when you started, then what can I do? I want you to see today also that you have control. We have things that happen in our life that are sometimes out of our control, but there are things in that process that are in our control. So I want you to just lean into that yes, things happen. We have challenges, we have things that come up, but we do have control over certain aspects, if not all, to be able to create what we want, to choose the path we want. So what does independence mean to you? Well, in looking at independence, knowing why it matters is actually an essential part. And I'm not a fan of reading, presentations, but these stats are worth reading and really letting it sink in, because when you think about planning for an exit or building your business for independence, these are some things to keep in mind. So owners who implement just one independence, one building a change, they see an average of 15 to 25% of time savings. Wow. What if this session sparks 15 to 20%, 25% time savings? That would be pretty incredible, right? It is possible, and it is doable. 70% of small businesses rely heavily on the owner for daily operations. That's a lot of businesses. Guess what? If you're watching this and thinking, I'm in it every day, you're not alone. We all are in the operations at some level. And for those that chose to go down the paths of creating independence intentionally, they're the ones that have that freedom. And you too have that ability. So leaders who spend most of their time in their strengths, wow, 2 to 3 times more engaged and drive a higher team performance by 20%. Wow, what if you were able to do just what you love in your business? Wouldn't that be fun, right? Businesses that operate without the owner are worth 20 to 40% more at sale. If you were to walk into your business tomorrow and it was all running without you, I'd like to ask you what you would do with your day. It'd be pretty incredible. Well, your business would also be very sellable. So think about this is intentional for your independence, but it's also setting the grounds that if you do the work now, it pays off later, right? The hard work now, it's either hard now, easy later, easy now, hard later. You get to choose. All right, process documentation can reduce owner time by operations 20 to 30%. Wow, people always talk about this, but sometimes we really don't get to see what the real impact is. 20 to 30% in 6 months. If that saves you that time, how much is it worth putting that little effort in? So for the actual independence, I'm going to actually base this off of a freedom triangle. The most things that are in business are going to fall into these three. It's either going to be a time freedom, ability to choose how you spend your time in your business, out of your business. It's either going to be a mental freedom that you don't have to worry about worrying everything in the day that's got to go on, that needs to get done, that's spread across the team or not collaborators, but hey, it could be. If you're not specialized in something and you don't want to take on that, you could have a referral agreement with somebody and send your client out and make money along the way, and you don't have to worry about that extra stuff. Kind of a cool tidbit right there. Financial freedom also. This one weighs really heavy. Whether you're struggling and you're trying to get your business off the ground, or you're well off and you're making good money and you're just paying a lot in taxes, and you're looking at your numbers going, I spent all this time to make all this money, and where does it all go? Why isn't it here? So these are some ways, and we're going to walk through actually some freedoms. You'll see here, we're going to walk through 7 in each section. You might be thinking, man, that seems like a lot. But just touching on these, I want you to look at it as, if this could empower me and my team and my independence, then this might be something I want to just notate while watching this. Yep, like empower my team. This would be a good one to look at. For myself, for creating the independence I want for time. So one area you can is empower your team. If you have a team, and if you're like, Amanda, I don't have a team, that's okay. Who do you have in your network that on the bottom section you'll see that says outsource non-core functions? This is another option. Automate repetitive tasks. If you were able to automate this, it is a little bit of a frustrating journey up front, but once it's done, you will thank me later and you will thank yourself that you did it. Being able to do client onboarding, offboarding, different things that are just they take a lot of time. In addition, automating outreach, prospecting, client follow-ups. If you need to touch your clients certain times of the year and that has to go, and if you miss it, it's not going to be good, and you are able to automate that, what a time freedom, what a mental freedom as well. In addition to that, being able to have effective communication with those you're working with, whether that be a team or those have specialists around you, being able to have a way to not have to go through delays. I like to say, you're not going to be creating fires that you have to put out that are going to burn your time. Sometimes these things seem simple and like, yeah, I could do that. But unfortunately, if we don't implement it, it's still there. And that's the hard part, is it's still there and we got to deal with it. Outsource non-core functions. Think like marketing or social, things that sometimes burn your time because it's just not your specialty, nor do you love to do it. Usually this is where the excuses and different aspects of our resistance and avoidance start to sneak in on the things we really don't want to do in our business that aren't our loves, but have to be done, because if they're not done, then we're not going to be moving our business forward. See how you can outsource that. And if you're like, well, the budget doesn't allow for this, then how? What would I need to do? What control do I have to make that an opportunity? And if I did it, would it give me more time to do things in my business that, one, would help it grow, or two, I would love and help it grow? Document processes. You saw 20 to 30%. If you're able to document the processes and the roles when you are training, whether you're a one-person team right now, documenting just your processes. Because as soon as you bring somebody in, and doing it by video, by the way. Video, there's some really cool platforms. You can reach out to me. I can give you some ideas. But really cool platforms where you can video this, even Zoom. You could do it via Zoom. But you could put it into an easy-to-follow process, the way you run your day. So if somebody had to take over and sit in your seat, they could just walk through those steps and easily do it. You think about the time savings when you bring somebody in. You're like, hey, you're going to watch these set of videos. Then we're going to mentor, and I'm going to answer any questions you have. And then I'm going to put you, to the test. I'm going to put you in the hot seat, and you're going to be doing some of these things. That would save so much time instead of having to manually train every time, every person that came through for that role. Pretty awesome, right? Last one, set clear boundaries. Sometimes, especially for those of us that work at home or have mixed work life, meaning you work in an office and at home, as soon as this rolls in, guess what? The boundaries start to bend. It's not the 9 to 5 where you leave and you go home and you spend time with your family and you do whatever you want to do for that evening and then you start the next day. No, you're looking at emails, following up with people. It's 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and these boundaries get kind of blurry. And so if you're able to set the boundaries, like I'm going to stop work at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and then honor it, this is also a time freedom. It's giving back your personal time. And it might even increase your productivity in the day if you know you have to stop at a certain time. You don't have this ability to just keep working. And it could even tighten up your ship a little bit, so to speak. All right, so that was all time freedom. These are ideas. Hopefully some of those hit home for you, things that you could do for your business. The next one is mental freedom. This one is really about some of the things that you might do for time, but doing it with just a different intention. So for example, the delegate with trust. This one is for that mental side. You want to empower your team to make decisions that maybe you're making. Instead of just empowering your team to do tasks, doing some of the tasks that you're doing. Like if you're making sure every last project comes across your desk, you're going to be able to hand that off to somebody else and say, did it get done? Wow, that's a big shift. So there's got to be trust in there with the team you're working with. And if you don't have a team, again, you may soon. It could be also somebody you're working with or things you've outsourced that you trust that you can delegate these responsibilities out. Next one is clear roles and responsibilities, making sure that everything is outlined so people are not doing roles that they shouldn't be doing or responsibilities that isn't really, I wouldn't say shouldn't, there are roles and responsibilities that are best set for that position or that individual. They love it. And if they're not there that day, somebody else, of course, would need to be able to do it. So that's even being able to cross-train your team for these different roles and responsibilities. But for you, it's incorporating what you love into what you do. Don't take on all the things that you don't love because that could be just a fear of trust that you fear delegation and fear that everybody can do the things that you see that are important, actually the things you don't like to do. See how those roles and responsibilities may be restructured to empower you and to empower your team and to build that trust. Also, decision-making processes. Some things can be automated, that you're not having to manually do everything, that is being automated along with your prospecting, along with some of your outreach, along with the onboarding, offboarding. Decision-making and freeing your mind of this could be very helpful for maybe your business. So this is just an idea. Again, these are just ways to build independence. They're pathways. Do you need to do all these to have mental freedom? Absolutely not. You just choose the one that really fits for you and work on it until it's complete. The next one is regular disconnect. This is also that boundaries, but really doing this again with intention. But you can disconnect for periods, even vacation, putting limits on that communication during vacation, putting in those automations so people know, hey, I'm gone for vacation. You can do that on your email. You don't have to look like you're still working if you're taking a 4-day weekend off. Let people know and say, I'll get back to you as soon as I'm back in the office. This can be healthy, especially if you are looking at ways to take quick getaways, maybe versus a long getaway that isn't as workable at this time in your business. Building a strong advisory network, surrounding yourself with those that you can come to challenges to help. So you're not in a cave working on everything on your own. You're able to lean on other people. This could also be just a network around you, organizations like LeadHERship Global and the different groups that you're involved in that have specialists and have people that do this for a living that you could ask a question and then see if that could be a relationship you want to build, work with them directly, or maybe it's even for a client and you're going to make an introduction. But just being able to bring some of these things to somebody else so you don't have to worry and try to figure it out on your own. You're not alone. There are people that are willing to help because they just have a heart. That's their passion, is to help others. Systematizing problem solving, also another one, like kind of the decision making, but having an actual system to solve problems and then not spending time on things that are not a priority. Having it on the list, but maybe not taking action now because it is not as crucial as something else, and that would just take time that isn't necessary at this moment. It may be necessary soon, but having a framework for that sometimes even just takes the mental load of that. Think about in your business, if you put systems around certain things that you do, and that's a system that everybody follows and everybody knows the system, even if it's just you having a system, that can sometimes take a lot of the stress, especially if you're one that's like, oh, I should do it this way and maybe that way. I could do it this way. And each time you're meeting with somebody or each time you're solving a problem, it's in a total different way. And now you have a new system and you've got to try to learn that and do it while all in action. That can be mentally draining. So look at this for your business. It could be a nice advantage for you. And the last one in the mental freedom that could be valuable is a strategic vision. Really sitting down and shifting from the day-to-day operations to the long-term growth, the innovation, the things that you love in your business. Taking that time could help mentally free you of that component of how do I get from here to there? And what do I need to do to get from here to there? And what do I have control of? What don't I have control of? And what can I do now? What's worth my time right now? The last section, financial freedom. Remember, we're talking about the freedom triangle, creating your own pathways of independence. You get to choose which ones. These are all ideas that help you actually build an independent company and one that is sellable. So on the financial side, there's a few things. This is not an exhaustive list, but trust me, there's many more. And you might have said on the time and the freedom, like, those are not the things I want to do. I want to take a vacation or I want to do this. That's okay. Put in when you start creating your path, what you want to create based on your business, why you started it, and your independence. But for the financial section, one thing that's very helpful that will save you so much time now versus burning so much time later, especially if you're planning for an exit, is clean books. Keeping your books clean, keeping your personal expenses and personal spending separate from your business. If you're a smaller company, if you are a larger company, still being very mindful of that. Also, any type of bookkeeping, if it is something you have thought about or want to do or you're not doing. I mean, QuickBooks has a really cool way you can at least connect your bank account and your credit cards to be able to categorize. And if that's just too much, looking at somebody that just does books, or maybe even your accountant has a team on their side that does books. This will save you so much time. Also, if you are not doing your books and they are clean now versus trying to do it later. The next one is financial planning. This one is both for your business and you. And this one sometimes is missed because if we're not planning financially now, we might be missing out on opportunities that really get you free, because a lot of our wealth for small business owners is locked in our business. And if it's locked in your business and you don't have a way to get that out, and let's say whatever happens, the company could do great and or it could not do well, and or you could sell or not sell. These all impact your journey as an individual. And if you're able to pull those away and plan for both in the most powerful way you can, and utilizing tools, and we're going to talk about tax planning, tax strategies, and different things that can set you up so not all of your funds are set in your business. What a freedom that is, right? We usually get in business to, one of the parts on the financial side is make more money. If we're making good money and we're not keeping it, this is a place where we can really look at that. And in addition to clean books, and I'm just going to toss it out there, budgeting. If you are not budgeting and you are making good money, and this is just burning your income, then there are ways to go through that and really see where can I tighten things up? Where can I put more money? How can I be more profitable? All to give you freedom. Diversifying revenue streams. This can also be a financial freedom. It can also be a little bit of a stress at the beginning, right? If you don't know if it's going to work, if you're implementing something new. But if you're able to diversify, meaning not everything is set on one action, this can give you freedom that if something happens in the economy, in the market, or natural disasters, that you've got something that is there that's not just one way, especially if you're in person or you're a brick and mortar location and so forth. This one is definitely worth looking into. How can I do it? And if you are diversifying, upsells, downsells, how can I do cross sells? How can I do collaborators? Am I missing out because I make introductions all the time and I'm not getting paid for those introductions? That's just a conversation and exploring what's possible for with those that you work with. Tax planning, a huge opportunity. Small business owners, if you are making profit in your business and you're paying taxes, which is painful, you may have some options to actually put money away for your future. Literally build your own exit. Put funds away for a future time that you could either sell your business and get more on top of that, or you can powerfully walk away to your next adventure without having to worry because you took the 5 to 10 years to put money away for you. That saved you in taxes. That was a benefit not only today, but tomorrow. There are many other tax planning strategies for you as an individual, for your business that you could utilize that sometimes it's just having the conversation. And most of the accountants out there, which are doing great work, they sometimes don't have the time to plan forward with you. And they don't have the time to help you implement these strategies. This is part of the work we do on the tax strategies and the exit planning side and preparing companies to really be independent now, not just at exit. This is a strategy that if you are making profitability in your company or want to look at what are my options, if you are looking at getting to a place where you're paying taxes, talk to me. Let's have a conversation. Another area that a lot of people, that it's one of those things that asset protection and risk management, if you don't have it in place, one accident could unravel everything you have. And why do I say this? It's because it comes from own experience of my better half having a crazy accident. Wasn't expecting it. Just, it was an accident, but it left him not able to speak for a year, left him without able to work. And the company that he had built, he had to let it all go. And paying for 6 surgeries out of pocket without health insurance becomes a very painful situation. Would you say that's out of his control? Yeah, that was out of his control. And what did he have control of? Well, he had to make really tough decisions. What could have helped him if he would have planned ahead of time and had financial freedom? Having a health insurance policy, having some protection around the business, doing those planning steps for that unexpected event that we don't want to ever happen to anyone, but it just can. Car accidents, things that happen on the job if you have a brick and mortar, things that happen at your home that, animals, you name it. There are so many stories and you probably have them too. So really sitting down and doing that can be very valuable. Also having a trust, a will, a trust, your kids, if they're over 18, having a power of attorney, having the ability to have medical directives, especially if they're in college or the university and they're over 18. These are things that having those conversations with a legal professional, obviously I cannot do that for you, but I can share with you so you can just have it in your awareness. These are things you could do to give you financial freedom and you don't have to worry. Okay. Increase profitability. This one also, if you are planning an exit, most companies, right, throughout the years will try to reduce tax liability as much as possible, which will reduce the profit, which will make it less painful. However, if you're looking to exit your business, you actually need to increase profitability as much as possible. And strategies like pension planning are actually really great strategies because even though you are reducing your tax liability and your profitability, it is something that would be added back into the company. So somebody buying it would say, oh, This is how much the revenue was. This is the profitability. And this would actually come back, or I could do the same for myself. What a powerful way to show profitability, but also be empowering your future of financial freedom. So profitability, there's a lot of tools around it, but increasing profitability at the right time. And also, so you're not just spinning your wheels and going, I make all this money, right? I mentioned that. And the last one is review exit options now. There are strategies that if you don't plan at least 5 years in advance, unfortunately, you're just not able to do it, or you're limited on what you could do. Also, if you are looking at an exit and you're looking at the capital gains and going, I wish I had an opportunity here to be able to reduce that or to eliminate it, what can I do? If you wait too long and you sell your business, those strategies start to go out the door and you're paying taxes. So looking at exit options now is not only powerful, even if you're like, not going to do it now. We don't know when we will exit, right? We just don't. It could be somebody could walk up tomorrow and say, hey, I'd like to buy your business. And also an accident could happen along the journey of life, or any number of other things. Having a plan, even if you're not going to implement it, gives you freedom, financial freedom. It gives you mental freedom, and also may give you time freedom if you put the plan in place ahead of time. So hopefully you found that valuable. As we step into this, what can I do? We see that most of the time we get faced with the challenges on all those freedoms we wanted to create, which are all great. But you're probably thinking, right? I don't have time. I don't have the revenue or the funds to be able to do some of those things, as much as I would love to have my processes and my software and my systems. And they go on and on and on. So I want to bring this up to your awareness that these are 25 reasons owners avoid building independence. Most of the time it's based on an excuse. You see all the ones in red. These are excuses, things that are usually set that make us procrastinate, and they're based on fear, or we're not sure, we're not how long it would take, and on, all the things. I always, and then reasons. Whew, I could give you good reasons. If you needed reasons, I'd probably give you some reasons and excuses. We are conditioned to be able to, some of us, some are no excuses, no reasons, just yes, no. Let me know what I can do. What can I do? And figure it out and go. But most of us are sitting in this going, how do I get from here to there? What can I do? What do I have control of? I don't even know if I can do it. And sometimes that mental game becomes the part that is the battle, the self-limiting thoughts, not sure who to talk to. But just to kind of run through some of these, just because seeing them and hearing them and seeing, are you doing them? I mean, I guess being really honest with yourself. And I'll tell you that I say these for sure, time scarcity. Most of the time, I don't have time, but I could make time. I'm just not choosing to make time. So then it's, do I really, is the importance of having the independence more than the excuse that I'm putting there? Right? That's a choice. So in this, I want you to see that all those pathways of independence are all a choice. Action will need to be taken to make any good thing happen. It might be painful now and easy later, or easy now if I keep with my reasons and my excuses and I'm facing the challenge without any action, or I could just take action. So I love what I do, so I don't need independence. Fear of losing control. What are some of these? Fear of success, not being needed if the business gets too big, right? If I step away and I'm independent and they don't need me anymore, then, where's my identity? What about, I don't have a team? That one comes up a lot. I don't have a team. What do you have? You could outsource that. You could hire somebody part-time. There are so many solutions around it. It's just, what are we willing to do? Some of the other things are avoiding tough conversations, overwhelm, it feels too big, fear of what else? Attachment to clients. And there are so many more. I'm probably not even scratching the surface of what people say. I don't have any money. I don't have time. Poor team. I'll deal with it later. I like that one. I'll deal with that later. And of course, some of these independents, if you are not able to walk through those steps or not committed to the whole process, you may get partway through and I'll deal with it later comes in the middle. And so it is constantly looking at, is this an excuse? What is the reason for the excuse? Is this a reason? What can I do about either one of those? How can I flip them into action or take this challenge and make it an action? And I'm going to give you a process to follow to do it. So challenges are what you solve. Excuses are what you stop believing. But before I give you the process, there is a cost to anything, right? There's a cost to put all those things in place. It's either going to be your time, it might be your money, and it could be mental, right? To put things into place. In return, we get freedom. But if we don't do anything, time goes by, and the cost of waiting starts to become expensive. And if just to kind of give a little bit of context, this is for a 5 to 6 figure business, what you could lose by waiting. Tax planning. You could be losing, and to be honest, if you are paying yourself 100K income, you could be losing 10 to 20%. You could be paying over 20K annually, even more. Just think if you were paying yourself 200,000, how much you could be putting away for your future versus paying it on taxes. Okay, would $20,000 back in your pocket be nice, or would 40,000, or would 100,000? What if you and your spouse work in the same business, or you and your family member? What if both of you could put $100,000 away for your future and not pay it on taxes? That's power, right? And that's choice. Okay, number 2, profitability improves. Operating at 10 to 15 a lower margin than peers. What if you left 50 to 75K of profitability on the table annually? Wow, that's a lot. That's even more than the taxes shown in that one, right? Delegation, hiring too late. Doing everything yourself, not only is it mentally and time suck, you also might be missing out on 50K of annual revenue from a new hire. That means you'd be able to pay them and make more money, right? Pretty incredible. Systems and processes, it could result in losing 25K to 50K just by the loss of capacity or wasted costs. Systems really do help. Having a process, having a structure, not recreating every time. Follow the process, right? Save yourself time, money, and you get freedom. Revenue diversification, delaying new streams means missing 50K annually. Wow. 50K, another 50K you could lose just by not revenue diversification. Streams of income, we talked about it. What about exit valuation erosion? Owner dependence reduces your ability to sell. It also reduces your potential anywhere from 100 to 200K, and then they're going to have to keep you on board, because if only you are able to do it, then they have to buy the business and pay you, which may sound good, except for you're going to get potentially less in the long run. And you have to work longer. You can't just walk away. Asset protection, risk exposure, these of course could be varying ranges, but you will lose, right? If you do not put money, if you are self-insuring things, that could get very pricey. Retirement pension planning could be missing 20K just on this one, right? This example, 20K, but you actually could be putting more away based on your age and based on how much you pay yourself. And if you have revenues and you could pay yourself more because you're trying to save money on paying yourself less every year, and you paid yourself more and could put more money away and save more in taxes and have that be for your future, right? Okay, burnout could cost you $25,000 annually, and the last one is compounding from reinvestment. You could be losing money year after year after year just by not planning ahead. Pretty powerful, huh? So you might be saying, well, how do I get to that next step? Well, let's choose a path. I want to empower you today that you can choose a path to follow and find and create not just find it. You're actually going to create your own pathway to independence. And you could choose to work with myself, a coach, whoever that you feel connected to, that you would like to, even having a close confidant that's an accountability, that somebody will keep you accountable to this. Because that's actually the toughest part is you could put all these things down and say that's a really great path and then not do it, not keep accountable to those steps. The excuses creep in, the reasons creep in, and then you're still where you are going, I wish I had freedom. So today, which would you desire? based on what you said your business, why you got in business, based on your independence, what you define as independence, which one would you like? Time, mental, or financial? And if it's a combination of them all, go ahead and just write down all of it, right? What do you want? And then you can powerfully choose which one's most important. Then you're going to list all the reasons you're not able to have independence in this area of your business or your life. You can do your life too, but all the reasons, all the excuses, all the challenges you're facing in this one area, identify if they're an excuse or a challenge. Because once I know if it's an excuse or a challenge and what my action will be, then I can put it into place, right? I can actually do something about it. It doesn't have to stay like that unless I choose to let it stay like that. So then you're going to choose an action and set a due date. Okay, choose your freedom, list all the reasons, see out of all that, which one would I want to do? Which path do I want to take? If it is, I want to systematize everything and stop wasting time, then that will be the choice that you have picked, right? That might be a time or mental freedom you have chosen. The path is you're going to systematize everything. And then what action can I take that I could do today to be able to get that done? What do I need? What's the first step? If that is, I need to search which tools I'm going to use, that will be the first action and set a due date. I'm going to do it by Friday. I'm going to search, 10 platforms by Friday and choose one. Whatever that might be. This is the part that you may want some help or guidance on, but you could also just do some research or just really lean into what do you know you need to do to get it to the next step. And like I said, the last one's accountability. Spending your time on what brings you independence and not stress. If this is going to stress you out and not bring independence, then the question is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth this extra time I'm going to take to get this done so I can have the freedom I want? And if you're facing that threshold, ask yourself, what is there? Why am I facing this and what can I do? What do I have control over? Right? All right. So if you want to continue on your pathway to independence, of course, like I said, you could work with myself. If you are looking for strategies in tax or exit specifically, or even financial, please reach out. We'd love to have a conversation. We can do some free assessments and see where you're at and where you want to be and which of those freedoms you would like to achieve and by when. I've got my email. You've got my website. The best way to connect with me is actually if you go to the website and there's a contact page, you can find my actual calendar. And if you would like to join our monthly circle Beyond the Sea of Excuses, please send me an email. It's new through the LeadHERship platform. And if you'd like to join our 7-day No Excuses challenge, you dare, right? No, 7 days of no excuses. This has been my commitment that I will have no excuses. And of course, setting that time frame of how long and by when. So 7 days is a good place to start. My ultimate goal would be 30 days at this point. 1 year seems a little beyond and with no excuses. But I look forward to hearing what you accomplished. So if you do happen to choose somebody else to work with or you've gone another route, send me an email. Tell me what you got done. Tell me what you completed and what pathway of independence and how you got there. And if you do want to work with me, great. I look forward to the opportunity to see how we can bring you value and get you on your way to independence. Thanks so much.